HyzerMedia's coverage of the Birdie presents the Turducken from Bellevue State Park in Wilmington, Delaware. Thank you for coming to check out this final round. Everybody's here, including the wildlife. Thank you to our Patreon family for supporting us, and thank you to you for being here. I'm Dave Oster, here to bring you the final back nine from Bellevue State Park. We have a tight race at the top. If you haven't seen the front nine, be sure to go check that out. But we are going to continue here on the back nine, our third par 4 at 415 feet, going to the red basket up at the top of the hill. OB fence to the right side. Got to get over the creek with the bridges, ideally for your first shot. Wyatt and Mahoney up first does get over, and left side is a bit more open once you get up past the creek, so that is a good spot to be. Brian O'Neill up second with the Hyzer, just kicks up and over that creek, pretty similar spot to Wyatt. Our tournament director Tim Reyes, lefty roller, kicking off of the fence and up and over the creek. Not a spot that looks like a roller, but Tim often will be throwing rollers in places that most players wouldn't even think of, and you can see why. It works out pretty well. Tyler Hogan rounding off our card, and with the longest drive, clean air shot most of the way up there. He'll have probably 100, 120 feet into the basket. Brian with the patent pending to get into the gap, throwing the backhand turnover, and that is a great shot into the circle. Tim with a little bit of an awkward stance, putting his knee up onto the ground behind him, but makes it maybe to circle's edge as well. Wyatt right there on that left side, a little more traditional footing. That lefty Hyzer does fare well for the shot shape and goes past the basket, but putting back down. I believe the wind is going in the players' faces, going up the fairway right now, although less wind than out in the open field. So Tyler with a very narrow gap, hitting it but not getting all the way up to the basket, and then missing the putt for birdie, and that needs to sit down. Unfortunate roll for Tim. Here's Brian's birdie putt, and very nice. Executed his drive, great upshot, cashes in the birdie. And Wyatt also for birdie. Oh, just right side chains. Tim to save his par, and does so. The rollaway was not consequential. Tyler just a few steps in. Oh, and luckily catches the rock just beyond the basket, saving him from going far past, but either way that will be an unfortunate bogey to start off this back nine. But we're moving to a stretch of a few fairly short holes. Try to get that one back. Par 3, 250 feet for hole 11. Bunch of thin trees in the way. There's a main gap right down the middle, and a couple other gaps if you choose to approach a basket with a different shot shape. Brian keeping it low. You can hear we're kind of back out in the open. Wind kicking up. A little short, but short enough hole that he'll still be close. Wyatt going with the backhand turnover. Not sure if that was the line he was going for, but he is on the green. 20, maybe 25 foot putt. Tim going the big Hyzer to the left side. Got a little bit of a skip that maybe he didn't need, but past the basket and looking back at a fairly simple putt, nothing in the way. Big flare skip, similar line with the forehand from Tyler. He and Tim will have similar putts. Great putt for Brian. He's hit a couple of those already, keeping him in this. And not just in this, he's currently tied for the lead before the other two he's tied with putt. Great putt for Tyler. A few strokes back, but still plenty of golf to play. And does get that stroke back that he lost on the last hole. Just a bit high for Tim, maybe expecting that to drop more with the wind, but not able to do so as Wyatt almost sneaks out the back. He does putt very hard, but makes it count. So 3 birdies and 1 par for our tournament director on that hole as we go over to hole 12, par 3. Only 180 feet, but you see this barcode of trees surrounding the basket. One gap. You really don't have a choice. This is what you have to throw as straight as you can, putter or mid-range. And just get it close enough that you might have a chance to put it in. Brian maybe wanted that to turn over a little bit more. Gonna have to try to find something through those trees just to get up and down 40 or so feet. Wyatt looked like he was also trying to turn over, didn't work enough. I think maybe a tailwind left to right a little bit, preventing these guys from getting the shot shape they're looking for. Tyler with much higher shot, catching a beautiful tree and dropping down right next to the basket. Not a bad play, honestly, if you can hit that gap and just kind of expect to hit one of those trees and drop down. Not sure if that was the play, but it'll work out. Tim almost making it all the way in there. Best shot of the group, other than the good result Tyler had. Gets all the way in there. Brian actually short enough that he could sneak in through the corner of the main entrance, but Wyatt is all the way on the right side. One little tree preventing him from maybe getting that in, which would be a very impressive putt through all of these trees. But close tap-ins for everybody else. And a birdie for Tyler. So very interesting hole as we move over to hole 13, par 3, 250 feet. Big right to left. Up on the mound will be where you find 13's basket. So for the righties, the big high hyzer. Lefties either the forehand or the turnover. And beautiful shot for Tyler. Looking like he might be sitting up for the turkey on this Thanksgiving. 3 birdies in a row after taking the bogey on 10. And Brian just narrowly missing the green, hitting the last tree, needing the miss. Wyatt with the big high turnover. A little too high, catching something and bouncing down. And Tim either going with the turnover or maybe roller here. Nope, turnover. Looking to be a very understable disc. And just kind of gets past the basket on the right side. He's close enough he may have a look at it. Wyatt with the long approach. Just trying to get up and down. And gets to the top of the mound. That should work. Brian also close enough if he wants to give it a bid. Wind probably kicking up off the opening on the other side. Does look like it lifted his putt a little bit more than he planned on. But he's up top for his par. Tim with a good bid. A little nose down, looks like it got pushed. Good putt for Brian to save par. Wyatt gets that one to stay in as well. And Tyler with the birdie to give him a turkey. And now only one stroke behind Tim and Brian for second place. Hole 14, par 3, 290 feet. Tunnel shot if you ever seen one. Basket at the end of it. A little bit left side, couple annoying trees if you do wind up on that left side where it looks like Tyler's heading. Oh, but a great tree kicking him directly towards the basket. Looks like that will be another birdie. Brian looking like that wanted to flip up, but not allowing it to. Surprisingly windy on this very wooded hole. This part of the course is a bit higher than the rest of it. And beautiful shot right down the middle for Wyatt. A little short, but right in the middle, nothing obstructed. Should have a decent chance at the birdie the way he's been putting today. Tim turning that over. He's going to have maybe obstructed, kind of a long approach. Oh, a little bit left side, kicking back to the middle. We'll see how far that putt's going to be when we get up there. Tim landing and rolling a little bit to the right side. Should be alright. Oh, and just low for Brian. Be the unfortunate bogey for him coming up. And great putt. Left side low. Good spot for these baskets to catch on the as a lefty hyzer. Good par save for Tim. And 4 in a row for Tyler. Charging back now in a tie for second place. But Wyatt now with a 2-stroke lead with only 4 to play. Another similar tunnel shot with the basket is tucked in on the right side and much further, 355 feet, still only a par 3. So much more difficult, and Tyler not likely to be continuing his birdie streak, kicking left side, and it does go downhill right there. So it will likely be a blind second shot. Wyatt playing right down the middle. Very similar shot to last time. Probably similar distance as well. With the 2-stroke lead. Maybe not trying to play super aggressive here. Tim looks like he was trying to approach the green, but gets caught up on that left side. Brian with the turnover. And, oh, falls down the edge. That looked beautiful all the way down. Almost pin high. So Tyler almost going onto that path. But able to stay just short of it. And just has that to pitch up to the fairway. And Wyatt playing very good, smart golf. Mature, especially for his age compared to the guys he's playing against. So Tim's head just barely sticking up above. Not sure if he could see any of the basket, if anything, just the band. And very similar to Brian. You can see the shadow of the hill covering most of his body and almost ringing it up from down below. So now we have a couple putts to save par. Tim doing so first. And Brian to follow. Tyler, after kicking short. Honestly, not the worst bogey from where he was. Wyatt with the easy tap in par. As we move over to hole 16, par 3, 225 feet. Pretty much straight shot. There is a wide right side line if anybody wants to take that. And guardian trees right by the green are really what you have to miss. Hard pan ground and leaves make it a fast green if anybody wants to use that to their advantage. And Wyatt going long and catching that one post, kicking and rolling away. Kind of a strange reaction. He's up on the green, but kind of on that left side down near the soccer fields. About where Tim was heading, but Rock saves him and he'll have a shorter putt than Wyatt from a similar direction. Brian going that right side, needing it to swing back in. And looks like he caught something. It's almost pin high, right side. He'll have a long, maybe obstructed look at it. And Tyler trying to go with the flex. Kind of hits the ground before it has time to get back. And giving it a decent bid, just a little low right. And same for Brian. So both of those guys probably just have short putts for their pars. And Wyatt doing it again, keeping his birdie streak going with a great putt straight into the sun, which adds even more difficulty to that obviously already difficult putt. Tim keeping pace though, keeping it within 2 with 2 holes to go. So 2 birdies and 2 pars. 2 holes to go, starting off with hole 17, par 3, 185 feet. Only straight through the middle is a very narrow gap, so most likely going this flex backhand, try to get around them, which Wyatt does very nicely, or the right side, similar shape, could work as well. Tim looked like he was trying to do that, but maybe too stable of a disc or not enough anhyzer. Pin high, probably have an obstructed putt, similar distance to Wyatt. Brian going more the righty. Seemed to just keep drifting to the right when he wanted to start fading back towards the basket. And Tyler going that flex forehand again. Does give it enough air to start coming back. Gets the skip on the deadpan. And is pretty much parked for his birdie. Brian maybe a little bit of a bid. Fading out just a bit early. And birdie streak continues still for Wyatt. Definitely making it hard for anybody to catch him. So Tim needs this to stay within 2, and he does so. So we will have a final hole 2-stroke lead of Wyatt Mahoney going into hole 18. Unfortunate bogey for Brian. And here it is, the final hole of this tournament, hole 18, par 3, 270 feet. Hard dogleg right and a lot of trees to miss. A lot of little skinny trees that you sometimes don't even think about, but they are in the way. Definitely an advantage for the 2 lefties who are at the top of the leaderboard, but Wyatt may be leaving the door open, catching an early tree, and would have to get up and down for a par. Even if Tim gets a birdie, can still win it. And Tim throws a pretty good shot. So definitely putting the pressure on Wyatt. Definitely more difficult for the righty. Turnover. Oh, almost flattens out just enough. Catching an edge, though. Rolling to the left side. Stopped by that log, though, so that should be not a bad position to be in. Brian with the forehand. Beautiful shot. Very similar to where Tyler landed, but cleaner. So now here's Wyatt needing to get up and down for the par to avoid a playoff. And he's on the green. But that is a putt for the win. So pressure is on. Brian a little bit right side. Should have an easy comebacker. Tyler with a chance for birdie. Just a bit left side. So Tim to put all the pressure on Wyatt for this last putt. Oh, not able to cash. Good putt for Tyler. Great tournament. Had some struggles, but definitely battled back. A lot of birdies to come back to currently the 3rd place. Brian the same, kind of came into this round tied for 1st. Dropped off after a couple of bad strokes. And now here's Wyatt. And he had the option to lay up for the wind. Doesn't take it, fires it in there for the par, and he is your Birdie Presents the Turducken winner. Wyatt Mahoney, congratulations, his first MPO win, and I'm sure more to come. But congratulations to him. Great tournament, not the ideal conditions, very windy for this November day, but hot round 10-14, shooting 8 down that 2nd round. Great golf by all these guys, battling these conditions, cold and windy. But thank you for joining us. This was a great tournament. We have one more tournament this year coming up next week. Stay tuned for that, and then we will have a lot of off-season content. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so already so you can catch up with all of that. And until then, we'll see you in the next hole.